Teresa Giudice hits back at Dolores Catania over RHONJ cast remarks. She's definitely not talking about me. The Real Housewives of New Jersey may be on pause, but the drama surrounding the cast isn't. As Monsters and Critics previously reported, Dolores Catania called out her fellow cast members for making a mess of season 14. Dolores blames the women for the show's future being up in the air. After all, Andy Cohen recently admitted it will be a year before he has any news on RHONJ season 15. Teresa Giudice got wind of what Dolo had to say and shared her thoughts on it. The RHONJOG made Dolores' words about her and the scrutiny surrounding her husband, Louis Rulas. Teresa Giudice hits back at Dolores Catania. This week, Teresa stopped by the All About TRH podcast, where she was asked about Dolores airing her frustration with the RHONJ cast not being able to move past the drama to ensure a season 15. "I mean, yeah, I've seen that," Teresa expressed. Then she quickly went into calling out the Real Housewives of New Jersey co-stars for earning a paycheck by talking about Louis for the past 4 seasons. Before reacting to Dolores' words, Teresa declared that Dolo wouldn't like it if the tables were turned and others were cashing in by criticizing her relationship. In fact, Teresa doubled down, saying Dolores would lose it if that were the case. "I know she's definitely not talking about me, so that's all I have to say," Teresa stated, making it clear Dolores' words were directed to other ladies in the cast. Are Teresa and Dolores feuding amid the Real Housewives of New Jersey drama? For those thinking there may be some trouble looming between the two friends, that is not the case. Teresa gushed over her friend Dolores the other day for her birthday with a carousel of photos in an Instagram share. "A very happy birthday to at Dolores Catania. We go way back. I adore you and your giving nature. You will go to the ends of the earth for those in need. I wish this year to be your best one yet. Happy birthday. Love you." Read the caption on the IG post. Teresa Giudice has no qualms with what Dolores Catania said about the Real Housewives of New Jersey ladies, because she feels the remark wasn't directed at her. Teresa Giudice had just wrapped up a yoga session in her backyard, the autumn breeze carrying the faint aroma of fallen leaves and lingering espresso from her morning routine. Her peaceful state of mind, however, was short-lived. A notification buzzed on her phone, drawing her attention to an article headline that read, "Dolores Catania speaks out on RHONJ cast dynamics. Some people don't keep it real." Rolling her eyes, Teresa tapped on the link. The article was littered with Dolores' vague references to castmates who put on a front and aren't as authentic as they claim to be. It didn't name anyone directly, but the ambiguity of the comments left room for speculation, and Teresa hated being speculated about. She set her phone down with a heavy sigh, mumbling, "She's definitely not talking about me." The phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Jennifer A. Dean. "T, did you see what Dolores said? What's her deal?" Teresa responded swiftly, "Yeah, I saw. Gonna nip this in the bud." It wasn't long before she was on a FaceTime call with Jennifer, who was already seated in her tastefully decorated living room. Her perfectly coiffed hair had testament to the fact that she had been ready for this conversation. "Do you think she's talking about you?" Jennifer asked, raising an eyebrow. "I don't know," Teresa replied, "but if she is, she's got another thing coming. I've always been real, Jen, always. If anyone's fake, it's the ones who pretend they're all kumbaya and then throw shade in interviews." Jennifer smirked. "Well, Dolores isn't exactly subtle. She probably thinks she's being diplomatic, but we all know how this works. Vague shade is still shade." Teresa nodded. She appreciated Jennifer's support, as always. But this wasn't going to end with a phone call. Dolores needed to hear directly from her. The next day, Teresa invited Dolores over for coffee. The Giudice mansion's kitchen was gleaming, and the scent of freshly brewed espresso filled the air. Dolores arrived, looking effortlessly chic in a fitted blazer and jeans, her demeanor calm but curious. "What's up, T?" Dolores asked as she walked in, setting her purse down on the counter. Teresa wasted no time. "Dolores, I read your interview. You know, the one where you're talking about people not being real." Dolores raised an eyebrow, her expression unreadable. "Yeah, what about it?" "Were you talking about me?" Teresa asked bluntly, crossing her arms. Dolores' lips curled into a slight smile, the kind that could be interpreted as either amused or annoyed. "If I was talking about you, Teresa, I'd say your name. You know that." "Then who were you talking about?" Teresa pressed. "Honestly." Dolores leaned back in her chair. "It wasn't about one person. It's about the general vibe lately. Everyone's so busy trying to craft a storyline or make themselves look good that they forget to just be real." Teresa's eyes narrowed. "But you know how this works. When you say stuff like that, people automatically think you're talking about someone specific. And let's be real, a lot of people will think it's about me because of my history." Dolores sighed. "T, if people want to jump to conclusions, that's on them. I can't control how others interpret my words." "But you can control what you say," Teresa shot back. "And if you're gonna make comments like that, at least make it clear who you're talking about. Don't leave it open for interpretation." Dolores' calm demeanor started to crack. "So now I'm supposed to filter everything I say because people might assume it's about you. Come on, Teresa. That's not fair." "Fair or not, it's reality," Teresa replied. "You know how this show works. You've been on it long enough." The room fell silent for a moment. Dolores took a sip of her coffee, her gaze fixed on the marble countertop as she seemed to gather her thoughts. "Look," Dolores finally said, her tone softer. "If my comments made you feel some type of way, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention. But I'm not gonna stop speaking my truth just because it might ruffle some feathers." Teresa considered this for a moment. She could appreciate Dolores' honesty, even if it sometimes came across as blunt. "All right," Teresa said, uncrossing her arms. "But just so we're clear, if you ever have an issue with me, I'd rather you come to me directly than throw shade in the press." "Fair enough," Dolores agreed, extending her hand across the counter. Teresa shook it, a tentative truce forming between them. Later that evening, Teresa took to her Instagram stories, addressing the situation without naming names. "I've seen a lot of stuff floating around lately, and I just want to say this. I've always been real. Always. If anyone's got something to say about me, my door is always open. But let's keep it real, people. Life's too short for passive-aggressive nonsense." The post quickly made its rounds, with fans and blogs dissecting every word. Some praised Teresa for addressing the drama head-on, while others speculated that this was just the beginning of a larger feud. Dolores, meanwhile, posted a cryptic quote on her own Instagram. "Authenticity is a powerful tool. Use it wisely." The next RHONJ group event was a charity gala, and the tension between Teresa and Dolores was palpable. Though they exchanged pleasantries, the underlying unease was evident to everyone in the room. Jennifer, always one to stir the pot, whispered to Melissa Gorga, $10 says they hash it out by dessert. Melissa smirked, more like during the appetizer. Sure enough, as the night wore on, Teresa and Dolores found themselves seated next to each other. The conversation was initially light, but it didn't take long for the topic of Dolores' comments to resurface. "You know," Teresa began, swirling her wine glass, All this could have been avoided if people just spoke their minds instead of talking around the issue. Dolores raised an eyebrow. Is that your way of saying I should have called you before that interview? Maybe, Teresa replied, or at least made it clear who you were talking about. Noted, Dolores said, her tone even. And next time, I'll be crystal clear. Deal? Deal, Teresa agreed, raising her glass. The clink of their glasses was a tentative ceasefire, but in the world of RHONJ, peace was always temporary.